This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy, Phil All Caps, a.k.a. Phil Porto, Mr. Knicks Nightcap himself. That's the spirit, whiskey, Knicks, all that fun stuff. Glad to be back this season. Like, it's been crazy. Being without you guys and without creating content and everything like that. So thank you for everybody that's already trickled in. This season's going to be crazy. As you know, last season we kind of ended with, bringing on different people from the whiskey scene. Some of the, distillers such as Dixon Deadman and Mike Wolf from Nelson Brothers. And we really, really enjoyed that because it gave us the opportunity to connect with different people. But we also wanted to raise that. So we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different this season, where we're also going to be having somebody from another fan base, from a team that we're going to be playing or that we just played, and we're going to get their opinions in a little segment called Enemy Territory. So we're really excited because this preseason has been, a lot of fun, but it's also been one of those things that makes us try to figure out what is going to happen next. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And before we kind of give a little breakdown of some of the things that happened on this offseason, I got to bring up my guy, Mr. Apollo Reed.
Yo, what's good,
what
bro?
Up, bro?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
In a minute, man.
It seriously feels like it's been forever since we got to create content, bro. Like, seriously, forever. Like, the season, it seems like it was so long ago, but yet just a few weeks ago at the same time. So what you been up to, bro?
Long summer, man. Of course, as you know, I tore my Achilles this summer.
Yeah. Crazy.
About 2 months after Jason Tatum did and Tyrese Halliburton. So yeah, man, I've been rehabbing that ever since. It's a long road ahead still. I'm able to walk on my own now. I'm getting myself back. So things are on up and up, but pretty much just recovering. Got back to my guard up Knicks. Got things going again. We're back doing our shows again. So that's pretty much it, man.
That's awesome, man. So what did you think about some of the stuff that we had going on this offseason? Some of the acquisitions that we got, the change of coach to Mike Brown, like all of that stuff is just like crazy. Like for me, we got a guy that I've wanted for years, in Jordan Clarkson, and then being able to also add Yabu to the situation, to me, was clutch. Like, I think that we got the right kind of players that we needed at the right time to officially compete for a championship. So what was your thought on that?
I was extremely, I was with the Olympics, was it 2 summers ago? When Yabu Selly was going against USA, in that game. And I was like, I really hope we can go get a guy like that. And at that time, I guess he just didn't make sense for the team. And he ended up going to Philadelphia, of course. But, now we got him, So I'm happy that we got him. And, of course, Jordan Clarkson. I've always been a fan of Jordan Clarkson because, just his ability to create off the bench, not a starter kind of guy that you want to have taking a whole bunch of shots, but somebody that I've always been a fan of. It's always funny to me. He likes to square up with guys and not throw a punch. But, that's the edge of him that you get. But I definitely liked our signing because those things are things that we've been talking about for a long time that we didn't have on our bench. So yeah, I was excited about that.
You know what I find funny? Our fan base is hilarious because, so many times before, especially the last 2 times in the playoffs, we always complained about not really having a guy that can just, without fear, take the shot. Like everyone was always complaining that we didn't have that guy that can just take the shot when we need him to. And now that Jordan Clarkson's doing that, even in, preseason, you got people going, oh man, get rid of this guy. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like Knicks fans don't waste any time jumping out the building and having a critique on a player. So I'm excited for, those changes. What about this guy right here? Mr. Mike Brown. What are your thoughts on the adding of Mike Brown and the idea of him pushing pace and really kind of just changing what the Knicks offense and defense look like from last year?
At first, I'll be honest with you, when I first heard that we were interested, I was kind of like, okay, I like Mike Brown, but I was kind of worried about the style because he's not an easygoing coach, I'll say. You know what I'm saying? So he'll jump at you if he needs to, So I was wondering if our kind of guys would respond well to that kind of thing. And it seems that they have, you know what I mean? So outside of that, I was definitely happy that we had someone who incorporated a lot more fluid movement to their offense, ball movement, player movement. He actually takes advice he actually uses some plays from his staff, you know what I mean? Something that we're not used to hearing, you know what I mean? So all of those things are the reasons why I was kind of excited to see what he would be able to do with this roster. So, a roster who at the bare minimum just ran ISO most of the time last year. So I'm excited to see what he could do with this team. Yeah.
So one thing you brought up was the way that, Mike Brown coaches and how our players are going to react to that. And one thing I liked was, I was looking at an interview today by Ian Begley on the Putback, and he was talking about accountability and how Mike Brown keeps his players accountable. And one thing I loved about that was one of my biggest gripes when it came to Tom Thibodeau was it didn't feel like he kept everybody accountable. Like he would keep some of the young guys accountable when they did something wrong. Like the Toppins would get pulled immediately. The Quickleys would get pulled. The Grimes would get pulled. But when it came to actually pulling or keeping his stars accountable, like Randall or Jalen Brunson, it didn't really happen. Right. So hearing Mikal Bridges say these things that he's keeping his star players, accountable, really gets me excited because Ian Begley on the Putback said that he's gotten loud with some of the top players of the team and it's all about correcting their mistakes. And that Mikal Bridges said that he likes that nature of Mike Brown, that's something that they need and that he does it, but he does it in a respectful way. Like a lot of us had issues with the back and forth screaming fits we saw with Tibbs and some of the players because it didn't really seem like it was for the benefit of the player or the growth of the team. But with Mike Brown, we see that a little bit differently. So I'm excited about that. So like I said, in this season, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to talk preseason and all that stuff in a little bit. We're going to have Eru up again. But before we do, I want to introduce a guy that I met at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival this past year. His name is Zach, and him and his brother Zeb and their wives were running a booth. And it was in the craft distillers area. So for those of you that aren't like full on whiskey heads, what that means is that they were actually there and they were in a section of not the big name brands that are in every single store across the world, but the more craft, newer brands that are making big waves. And when I say making big waves, that's exactly what this brand was doing. Like it was ridiculous. I was walking around day one, and before I was even there for like 2 hours, I had multiple people that I knew from, the content creation game coming up to me and being like, yo, have you gone and seen this brand yet? Have you gone and seen this brand yet? And I was like, no, I haven't. So I was like, all right, I got to check them out. And so this brand right here is called Silk Velvet. And when I tell you that they didn't just have a name that they were building for themselves because it was hype, but that they actually deserved the credit that they were getting, like I can't push that enough. Like as soon as I tasted the bourbon from these guys, I was an instant fan. So without further ado, I want to bring up my guy, Zach. What up, Zach? How's it going, brother?
What's going on, Phil?
Chill, man.
Nice to meet you, Apollo. Thank y'all for having me on.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah,
So I brought you on for 3 reasons. First, because your guys' brand is incredible. And I love it, and I want to push it as much as I can. Second, because though you may not be a diehard NBA fan, like most of the people that are basketball fans in the whiskey realm from Louisville, you are a diehard Wildcat fan. And we have one of the best Wildcats currently on our team. And you've kind of seen the progression of him from college to NBA to where he is with the Knicks now. So I felt like conversations would be smooth. And third, because a lot of the people that are listening and watching this show are a little more hood than you are. So, a little more from the New York streets. And so getting a little bit of twang in the vocals on our show is something that I love and I want to bring on because my wife's from the country and the bourbon juice that I enjoy so much is from Louisville. So I wanted to make sure we got you on. But how's everything going, bro?
Man, it's going great. It's been a busy year. We launched December of 24, and we've just been grinding and grinding and grinding. And then Kentucky Bourbon Festival hit, like you said, and man, we've been humbled ever since. The brand has actually just taken off ever since. Everybody got to actually taste it, and it's just, yeah, it's been incredible to see and witness and feel, and we've just felt the love from all corners.
That's awesome. I love it. Because when we first started talking, there was already the hype at the fest, but then we were talking about right now you guys are just launched on Seelbach, which means everybody that's watching, you can pick up this brand's whiskey now, even though they might not be in your local store. In the link on our YouTube, there's in the description a link to their Seelbach page where you can buy their single barrel whiskey and their small batch whiskey. And we're going to talk about, well, I'm not, but these guys are going to talk a little bit about the small batch in a little bit. But when I tell you guys, like, I do not push brands that I don't believe in, this is a brand that I truly believe that anybody who enjoys whiskey or is starting to get into whiskey will enjoy. So I want you guys to check them out. But before we get into some pours and stuff like that, and I'll let you guys know because you're used to me kind of being the one that kind of like talks about the tasting notes and all that stuff. That's not going to happen today. For some reason, my package got lost in the abyss of USPS, which is why the show started a little bit late today, because I was kind of on the hunt from a few different USPSs trying to find it. And so I won't be enjoying it today, but I'll be enjoying it whenever it shows up. So I'm going to have Apollo, my guy, Mr. 2 Ounce Whiskey, who unfortunately is a Cavaliers fan. Not everybody can be perfect, but he at least has good whiskey taste. So he'll be coming up. But before we do that, Zach, can you give us a little bit of a breakdown of your guys' brand, because it is a legacy brand and it goes back before any of us were born. Not maybe, yeah, pretty much. So if you could talk about the brand just a little bit, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so just it's got a long history actually, and that's what kind of drawn us to it. So I'm a lifelong Hendersonian. I'm from Henderson, Kentucky, and have been in the whiskey industry now for almost a decade. But while I was in it, my father actually is a old antique collector, found these old bottles from our hometown, and showed it to us and was like, man, this would be great to bring back. And my dad's a dreamer, and so I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. But then we started digging into it, and my gosh, the history on it is just incredible. So it started back before 1880, but a guy named Colonel A.S. Winstead married a lady named America Worsham who had a distilling family. And after they got together, got married, he decided to join the family business and learn everything he could about making whiskey. And there is a connection here to New York. So he learned everything he could from his father-in-law, and started really getting good at it, and kind of started making a name for himself. And everybody kept saying his barrels of whiskey were smooth as silk. And so he's like, you know what? I need to go do this on my own. So one day, at a family dinner, I'm assuming I wouldn't want to have been there, but he told his family that he was going to go and do it on his own and basically compete against them. So he built a distillery absolutely to the nines. I mean, it was one of the nicest distilleries on the western side of Kentucky. In his very first production, he made 5,000 barrels and shipped to New York. So in 1880, this is the year we're talking about, 5,000 barrels for one is a ton of whiskey. And then already to have connections all the way up to New York, just shows you the reach he had. So he also had two sons in there, and he brought them in. The sons helped him on the marketing side, everything else. And they actually, helped push this brand out. And it became a national brand all the way across the United States. The Colonel, unfortunately, started becoming ill. The sons took it over, and even then, the brand kept blowing up. But then kept going, doing great. But then fire, more sickness, and then Prohibition hit, and so the brand ceased to exist. And it lay dormant for about 100 years until we picked it up. The other fun part about his family. That distillery ended up being bought by a guy named Henry Craver, who ended up starting the Peerless Distilling Company out of it. So Peerless and Silk Velvet, were out of this hometown, and they were both national brands. Peerless was even able to be sold during Prohibition itself, medicinally. So, but current time, like I said, I've been in the industry for about a decade. I started with an often misunderstood distillery, O.Z. Tyler in Owensboro, Kentucky, and then was part of the team that helped resurrect and bring back Green River Distilling Company back to its hometown. And in that, I met met the master distiller there named Jacob Call, who is an 8th generation master distiller. His family's been distilling whiskey since 1791. So, I mean, it before Kentucky was even a state. So his lineage was, he's born in bourbon, basically. And to me, he's one of the greatest distillers of his generation. But if you've tried his whiskey and it's out there all over, it's just absolutely delicious. So when I was at Green River with him, I said, hey, we've got a story. We've got a brand. The packaging you see today is basically what the package looked like back then. And we were like, we've got all this, but we need really good whiskey behind it. And so he told me he got me. And so we've been working on this for about 3.5 years. And like I said, December of 24, we finally got this thing launched. And man, it's been fun ever since. And the people that, you see the baby blue bottle on the original, and now, the darker label, it grabs your eye. But we know a story and looking good on the shelf only gets you so far.
Yeah.
If the whiskey's not any good, people ain't going to drink it again. So, so we've got that too. I mean, Jacob's been, he's had multiple top 20 whiskeys in the world, multiple double golds and, golds, the accolades, and one of the oldest whiskey families in the world. So, yeah, we're blessed to have him on board, and we've been having a good time.
That's awesome, man. I love that. It's cool because, a few things that you said in there. You mentioned Green River. Shout out to Green River and the team out there. They were one of the brands that we highlighted last season, and, put out great juice as well. So shout out to them. Shout out to Peerless. That's a brand that I love. Trying to work with y'all too. So if you're watching this, anyone from the Peerless squad, hit me up in my DMs. Let's make it happen. I love what you guys are doing as well. But I love the legacy story. I love the fact that, so many brands, because of the craziness of Prohibition, closed doors and never were able to open their doors again, and it's super unfortunate, but when you see the brands that years later were able to fight back and be able to revive something, it's worth checking out, because if something was a dead fish in the water, people aren't going to fight to bring that back, but there was something that they knew was worth fighting for. And so when I think of you guys and Nelson Brothers and, brands like that actually fought to come back, it makes me want to support the brand even more. And I love that. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to your brother. Shout out to your wives that were absolutely like so hospitable when it came to, connecting with all of us at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. Before we bring up our enemy for the night to talk a little ball and a little bit of tasting notes, I want to give a shout out to those that are in the chat. Shout out to our guy Keith Watkins, another season. Appreciate you being here. My guy Lee Escobedo from the Nick of Time show. That's like my brother. We got to connect finally in the flesh a few weeks back when I was out in Dallas area. And it was seriously such a blast to hang out with that dude. Like, that dude is such a blessing. So shout out to Lee. Shout out to my guy Prezi, one of my favorite whiskey fans that, attends week in and week out. Shout out to JMJ. Appreciate you being in the building. Our guy Fritz, the moderator of all moderators. Walter Blackham's in the building. D Block is in the building. Who else we got? We got Mr. D Nice. Good to see you again back this season, my guy. My guy Astro's in the building. Appreciate you. He said, I made sure I reposted the stream. Thank you so much. Paris Duggar. I love this dude. Appreciate you so much. Talking about the offense is good or bad based on who has the ball. That is correct. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in detail very, very soon throughout the episode. We got our guy Chris Rivera in the building. He said, love me some whiskey and let's go Zach Hargis. So that must be a friend of Zach's right there. Appreciate you. Nick Yak's in the building. Mr. Wolverines is in the building. We got my guy JT Riddick always supporting. Appreciate you so much. Let's see. This is the Godfather. Appreciate you. Nick's doing better than last year. Remember, I said it. Man, you a hater. Let's not go there. We can talk about that a little bit later. It's too early in the episode for trolls. All right. So now we're going to have a new segment. And this right here is called Enemy Territory. All right. And this is, right here. All right. And before we bring him up, I want to introduce him. He is a friend. I like him. I don't like his basketball takes. I haven't even heard them, but I know he's a Cavalier fan, and that's enough to not like his basketball takes. But I do love his whiskey takes. We've created some pretty legendary content together when it comes to the whiskey scene. And he is one of the most knowledgeable guys that you're going to actually be able to connect with on whiskey TikTok, whiskey Instagram, whiskey Twitter, whatever. He's got them all. So I'm going to bring up my guy, Mr. 2 Ounce Whiskey. And before I do,
if you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
And that is you, Mr. 2 Ounce Whiskey. What up? How you doing, bro? Let me bring you up to the stage. There you are.
Hey,
what's up, bro?
Oh man, I didn't know I was gonna be in enemy territory. That was awesome. That was good. Star Wars intro, amazing.
Well, yeah, you're that guy. You're that guy. You're Mr.
That's
Cleveland Cavaliers, Mr. Perform incredible in the season, but absolutely fall apart in the playoffs, Mr. 2 Ounce Whiskey.
What are you gonna do about injuries, man? They happen.
I don't know about that. We're not, we'll talk about that later. That's called excuses, but we won't go there. But what's up, man? How's it going? Tell everybody a little bit about you.
A little bit about me. I'm Shri, 2 Ounce Whiskey. I was raised in the Northeast Ohio area, so that's where all my Cleveland love comes from. It's because that's where I'm from. So I didn't choose to be a Cleveland fan. It's just the life chose me. Apparently, that's how most people find their fandom. I don't know. Is that how you guys found your Knicks fandom? Are you guys from there?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
I think most people can relate to that. So that's just where I'm from. Found me at 2 Ounce Whiskey. I do whiskey content. And he had a post out, Phil did, saying, do you guys watch basketball and drink whiskey? And I was like, I love the Cavs. So he said, come on over. So I'm in. And then Zach, I think I met you at KBF. I might have shaken your hand at the tent.
Yes, how's it going?
Me and Phil were playing tag the whole time. He was like, yo, I'm over here. And then I would go over there, and then I was over there, and then we couldn't link up.
It's seriously like, for those who have never been to Kentucky Bourbon Festival, it's seriously like Coachella with no music, but just a lot of whiskey. And so there's like a lot of people, a lot of whiskey, and a lot of like sweat happening. So you're just like trying to balance everything. And when you are, you know, in the whiskey scene, it says that he has to reconnect. So if you are there, your camera got disconnected. So whenever you can, reconnect that, and I will bring you right back up. But yeah, like he was saying, we were playing tag like every single day. I was like, yo, I'm by Silk Velvet. He's like, oh, I just left there 15 minutes ago. I'm over here. And then I'd go over there. I'd be like, now I'm here. And he's like, oh, I'm back over there. And so we never actually got to connect in the physical. But what he won't tell you is that he is humble as crap, because this dude, yes, he makes whiskey content. Yes, he, you know, is a Cavs fan, but he's also a friggin' doctor. And he also is a huge whiskey influencer. He's not just a whiskey influencer, he's a huge whiskey influencer, because me and him started putting out content very close to around the same time. And all of a sudden, this guy blew up. Like, I think this guy, seriously, like, every single day of the year has at least 2 or 3 whiskey packages showing up to his door. Just whiskey brands throwing booze at him every single day for him to like leave a review. And all he has to say is, yeah, this was good, or no, this was absolutely horrible. And they will absolutely send everything that they create for him. So he's a little bit humble. He won't tell you that he's like one of the big shots when it comes to whiskey content, but he is. So shout out to you. I was giving you praises while you were gone.
I can hear it. I don't know what happened. My camera turned off. But thank you. He's lying to all of you. I'm not that big. I just made some videos. And
as he lets you see his whiskey collection just like flaunted in the background, like just hanging out behind us. You know,
the most important bottle is right here.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about that one. Well, you guys are going to talk about that one. I'm going to pour something else. I'm not going to say what it is because I'm not showcasing that brand today. But we're going to let you guys talk about that. So, Zach, give us a little bit of, you know, the backstory of what they're going to be sipping on tonight.
Yeah, so this is our brand new release. So, you know, we launched back in December with our single barrel expression, and you know, it did way better than what we even imagined. So, you know, we've kind of gone with that for the last 9 months. But Kentucky Bourbon Festival hit, and I really wanted to to get another, you know, expression out there. You know, single barrels are great because every barrel we make, you know, everyone's a little bit different. They've got the bones there, but they've got a little bit different. But the other passion of mine, you know, I'm not a distiller itself. Jacob is the distiller, but I love, you know, I love bourbon. My wife and I would go to bourbon distilleries before I ever even entered the industry. I mean, I'm passionate about bourbon, being a lifelong Kentuckian. And so being in the industry, I was already pinching myself. Now that we have a brand, I'm really pinching myself. I can't believe we're even here. But one of the biggest things is I love blending. I love trying to find new flavors, new ways of enjoying bourbon itself. So this was a fun expression. It took about 6 months to do. This is a 12 barrel blend of 2 different mash bills. A little bit of backstory too. So Jacob's family, I told you, was an 8th generation master distiller. His dad actually worked under a guy named Booker No at Jim Beam. So very, very famous distiller. His granddad was also at Jim Beam. But one of the famous mash bills at Jim Beam is 78-13-9, 78 corn, 13 rye, 9% malted barley. Famous Jim Beam mash bill. When Jacob was tasked to rebuild the distillery in Owensboro, and this is the 10th oldest distillery in the state. So this was a massive undertaking. Every single big whiskey brand and corporation looked at this site, and Jacob was the only one crazy enough to do it. But his dad helped. And the very first mash bill they ran at that distillery was 78-13-9. And it was kind of his dad helped him get this up. When his dad left, Jacob decided he wanted to also do something that had his fingerprint on it. So he did a mash bill of 70% corn, 21% rye, a little higher rye, but also that 9% malted barley. And so these were the very first mash bills he really ever ran in his. So this is a homage to Jacob's dad. with the 78-13-9 and his history. But this is also, paying respects to Jacob in the very first 2 mash bills that he did. So we took those and blended them together. And so the other part of it is I also work with Jacob now. We got bought out a couple of years ago, opened up Western Kentucky Distilling Company, and literally our offices are right beside each other. So we go out into the Rick House and all. We're tasting barrels all the time. Bad day at the office, it just awful. But when we're trying them, we're trying to find the single barrels for our mainline expression. But we're also, we're trying all kinds of stuff. So we're marking down in sheets. We're tagging. We're doing everything. And when we find the barrels that are real heavy into one, like just real heavy in brown sugar, real heavy in cinnamon, maybe heavy in a fruit note, something like that, we're tagging those for blending. And so this we call it a small batch select because that's exactly what these are. These are hand selected barrels that we picked out of the house and blended together to create what you're about to taste. And so awesome. It's a mixture of year between 4.5 and 6.5 years in the barrels. So we've got that age in there. Also, some of those notes from those younger bourbons. And man, I think I'm really happy with how it's turned out.
That's awesome. I love that. So as soon as, Mr. 2 Ounce comes back, I'll have him, taste it. It's been cool on this show because Apollo is, my co-host, but he wasn't drinking whiskey when we first started this a few seasons back. So I would send him the samples. And at first he was like, I don't know how you are getting any of these notes. Like, are you for real? Or are you making it up? And then it was like, as the season went on, he's like, all right, I think I can taste that. And he's like, but I don't know if this is like me actually tasting it or some kind of like voodoo that Phil's doing on me, making me, and then he was like, all right, well, Phil's a man of God, so it's not voodoo, but like, I don't understand, so he was like, it can't be voodoo. Like, what's going on here? But like, when he says it, I taste it, like, but before, and so what we did, towards the end of last season is I didn't say anything, like I, wrote down what I had thought, and just seeing like him being able to like tell Dixon Deadman of 2XO, like some of the tasting notes that he was getting, I was like, yo, I love this. It was like a proud whiskey dad moment, so, it was really, really dope. So, all right. So I think my friend, Mr. Cavalier fan, is having some issues still when it comes to his camera. I don't know what's going on. If you can hear me, I honestly, like, if you have to sacrifice the quality and just log on with like your computer camera, I'm totally all right with that. I'd rather have more time, with you on the show than, you struggling with a better, kind of camera. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters most. So let's see. I think he's back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I can't hear you.
No.
Oh, now I can.
No, we hear you.
Oh, yes. Okay. What's up?
What's up, bro? If you want, you can turn your camera rotation and you'll be back in the square.
Tried to get fancy and
didn't work out so well.
Or something. It just like kept.
You need to call Mr. Cinnabourbon and have him kind of guide you in what's going wrong.
Each other, right?
I cannot listen to any of your instructions, for you are my sworn enemy and are about to meet your demise.
Anyway, all right. So since I don't have that in my glass, all right, I'm going to kick it over to you, Mr. 2 Ounce. And I want you to pop it, grab a sample, let people know maybe some of the, on the nose and on the palate, vibes that you're getting. But while you figure that out and while Apollo figures that out as well, Zach, as a Kentucky fan, are you catching glimpses of those Kentucky Wildcat players now in the NBA?
Yeah. I'm a lifelong Kentucky fan, but I am an NBA fan as well. I mean, I was born in '83, so I was in the backyard, with my tongue out, acting like I was MJ, and followed. I mean, I've followed basketball religiously. I mean, I remember those Bulls Knicks, and I thought the Knicks were probably, the toughest team I'd ever seen in my life, with Charles Oakley, Xavier McDaniel, Patrick Ewing. Those battles were insane. And, I followed it all the way through. The last couple of years, I will say it's been a little harder, just been so busy, but playoffs come, I'm right there, with the defense, starts to ramp up, so last year was fun getting to see, the switch between Randall and Cat, and then seeing them both get to their conference finals, and I was kind of rooting to see them both in the finals itself, but Tyrese got so freaking hot that it just ruined all of it. I know y'all are probably still hurting about that one, but I'm following them all. I mean, heck, there's not an NBA team, I don't think, that doesn't have a Kentucky Wildcat at this point. So I'm turning on games all night and just kind of finding my guys. So.
Yeah, I love that, because when you're not necessarily a fan of the team, but you're a fan of the college team, you get to be, rooting anytime you pretty much watch a game now, as a diehard Kentucky fan. And so, I thought that was really cool. And it's cool that you were talking about the 90s era, because, that was my biggest thing. When you're a kid, there's a little more leeway, and so I was a kid and I was like a diehard Knick fan, but also had that catch-22 like wrestle in my heart, because I was also a diehard MJ fan. And it was like, how do I, really, really also love the guy that kills my team every single year? It was really, really hard, so I have grace for my sons now, when they're like, oh, I love the Knicks, and then OKC starts doing great and they're like, OKC, and I'm like, yo, calm down, but I gotta have grace, because that's how I was with the 90s Bulls. But that was my era, the Starks, the Ewing, the Mason, and it was cool because a few years back, I actually had John Starks on a morning Knicks show that I was doing, and got to interview John. And it was so hard for me, because I was like trying to be professional, but also fangirling internally, like the whole time, that I was just like, I felt like a little like girl at a Swiftie concert while I was interviewing him, but I had to like keep my composure. It was really awesome. But I agree with you on the playoffs. I would have loved to have seen that. But if I'm honest, like, we definitely upgraded in that trade. Like, for me, letting go of Randall was a blessing. The only thing that was negative about that trade was having to let go of Dante DiVincenzo, and seeing him play well elsewhere. But I definitely don't miss Randall at all. Good riddance to him. Wish him well. But that pouty little Wildcat doesn't belong in New York.
Well, I think both teams benefited, to be honest with you. I mean, Randall kind of fits that Minnesota role. He can kind of play off Ant, kind of both be that little ISO. And that's what Randall played that way in college. I mean, he was more of an ISO guy. I like Randall. He took us to a Final Four and to a championship game, so I can't say anything about it. But I think Cat, I think he's in the best spot he could be in. Yeah. And just to let you know, I remember that 2015 year. Keep feeding Cat. If we'd have kept feeding Cat, we'd have title number 9 right now. So just a little word of advice.
I love that point. I love that point, because Randall was a great player. He still is. Like, he's a very talented basketball player. The problem is that there was no offense under Tom Thibodeau. It was kind of just like ISO heavy for every single player.
He's defensive minded, right? I mean,
exactly.
So
and Randall can't play D. And the problem is, with so many ISO guys, having a ISO guy isn't beneficial. Where he's at now, you got Ant, who is the star, who is the guy that everyone is worried about. So it allows ISO Randall to still eat without having to be that guy. And he was trying to be that guy in New York, even after Jalen Brunson was here. And it just didn't work out. But before we keep talking ball, Mr. 2-ounce whiskey, what are you getting on the nose and what are you getting on the palate?
Hello, everybody. I'm back. Nose. If you watch my channel, nose is like the weakest part of my game. I have no handle So I smell sweetness and niceness, and it's silky and velvety, and it's real good.
That's good. That's
Palate,
good.
I
So
can do that.
let-
Silky
Easy
velvety.
palate.
I'll remind myself not to cut the nose portion as the Instagram short this week.
We all have flaws in our game.
We do.
Palate. I'm taken to like, you go to a nice restaurant, you get a dessert, and you get that creme brulee with the crunchy top, and you use your spoon, and you break the sugary top, and you eat it, and it's creamy, it's nice, and it's sweet. That's what I'm getting on this palate. I could drink this all day. This is really good.
That's awesome. What about you, Apollo? Now that he's said that, has he whispered sweet nothings into your ear, and do you taste it?
Okay, so I'm getting a little bit better at this, I think. The smell that I got initially was like a vanilla kind of smell. Like I got like vanilla, but I didn't taste vanilla. I tasted more like, because you said sweetness, like a creamy sweetness, and like I guess like a cat. My kids are so funny. Caramel. Like I get like a caramel kind of taste there. What's going on, Joe? So yeah, man. It's I don't know how close that is, but I feel like I'm getting better at this because I'm recognizing things. So just let me know if I'm off.
There is no right answer. There's no key that we're reading off of to say you did good or bad. Like it's whatever you're tasting, it's right.
Yeah.
I think I need to get into this a little bit more since there's no wrong answer.
Yeah. And here's the thing.
There is no wrong answer, but there's a trick in bourbon. If you want to just say caramel and bourbon on everything, or caramel and vanilla, and you're going to be right most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. See, I got it. There you go.
Yeah. Honestly, caramel and vanilla are going to be hints of pretty much everything in bourbon. They might not be the notes, but there's going to be some kind of, lingering of that somewhere. And like he said, there's no wrong answer. Like if you start telling me it tastes like 1934 rubber tire on an F-150, then we have some issues. Like I don't know what you're tasting or why. Like get that all checked out. But when it comes to actual like flavors, a lot of it is really, really like unique to things that you've tasted, because I could taste something that you've actually never physically tasted that thing in your life. So me saying it tastes like that isn't going to taste like that to you because you've never actually had that. So if I say it tastes like this one thing at this restaurant that I got in Europe and it's a European candy and you've never been to Europe, you're going to be like, yeah, I don't taste that, but I taste this. That doesn't make it wrong. That means based off of the things that you've had in your life, you're able to pin it to something that it reminds you of. And so it kind of works out that way. So
love what Phil said there. Yeah. I completely agree. A lot of times I'm not like a professional taster. I don't have like the exact words to put the flavors into words, but I go back to memories. Like I remember being at a restaurant and having a creme brulee, and it kind of reminds me of that. There was one whiskey where I was like, reminds me when I was little and my mom had Indian sweets lying around and I was trying that. It just reminds me of that. So memories, flavors, they're kind of intertwined. So yeah, like you said, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, that's kind of what we talk about. I mean, you hit it nail on the head. When you smell things, I mean, memories come back, and whiskey does that a lot. You're like, man, this reminds me of the potpourri that used to be in my grandma's bathroom, and you're just like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, no, for me, that's what it smells like. But I mean, I'm not a poet. I know a lot of whiskey guys can really get into some descriptions that are just like, okay. But for me, I mean, we just keep it kind of simple. The vanillas, the brown sugar, caramel, cinnamon in there. For me, what ties the small batch to the single barrel is that citrus note. And if you kind of go back through it, that's what ties the two lines together for me. Really looking for that citrus note, those fruit. So when I'm describing whiskey, I'm thinking light notes, those fruits, those, and then the dark notes, that wood, that leather, that those brown sugars, those type of things. And those are what we look for. And really, to be honest with you, we just look for whiskey we enjoy. I mean, we love whiskey. So if we like it, we're going to put it in a bottle. And hopefully, and not to say our palate is the end all be all, but I mean, if we enjoy drinking it, hopefully other people will enjoy drinking it. And so that's really what we're doing. We're not trying to, write a full manifesto on all these different things. I mean, we're looking what tastes good. And but that citrus
I
note,
think
that's really where we're at.
You guys are hitting the nail on the head. Like for me, I love citrus notes like in my whiskey. Just this past week I've been like freaking out because there was something that Larrikin also just put out, and it's supposed to be like a creamsicle type, single barrel. And Kentucky Peerless just put out one called the Orange Wafer, which is like supposed to be an orange vanilla cream, creamsicle type wafer. And I'm just like a kid in a candy shop because that was my thing. Creamsicles were my jam growing up, so anytime I taste something that has citrus notes with the bourbon already having vanilla notes naturally, that always fits my palate. And I think that was one of the things that, like, when I went to your guys' booth, I kept like coming back and being like, I can't figure out which one I want, because both of these have the notes that I love, the similarities of what I love, but still uniquely different, in the same. And what I love about it, to the people that are watching, sometimes we, showcase bottles that are like $160 and people are like, yo, bro, I can't really swing that, but the fact that you can snag this small batch for $49.99 is a freaking steal. Like I said, guys, in my description on the YouTube, head to Seelbach, SEELBACH, and you can purchase their small batch or their single barrel right now. And I promise you, you won't regret it. If you buy it and you don't like it, I will purchase it for half off, because that's your fault for not liking it. But I'll still purchase it, and you could ship it to me directly. And you're also paying for shipping, because let's be real. But at the end of the day, you'll make half of your money back for having poor tasting whiskey. But if you purchase it, I truly, truly believe if you have taste buds that work, you will enjoy it. Appreciate that, Zach.
Well, and that's kind of the other part of it too. I mean, like I said, we're just love whiskey, and so we think about the whiskey that we're putting out from a consumer side, because that's how we started. We started, browsing the liquor store aisles and seeing what new they had in, and man, I want to try that. Man, I wish I could, let me get that bottle. And I've got a downstairs that is not as impressive as 2 ounces, but I've got quite a few down there that have still not gone through. I think I could drink whiskey until the day I die and still not run out. But it's that consumer mindset that is really driving us. So what do we want? We want great tasting whiskey. I mean, we want something that looks nice on the shelf. But the other part of it is we want it to be affordable. And, that 49, we all know everybody's stretched thin right now. That's one of the things, so $49.99 for you to be able to, it's in a good price range, but it's really good whiskey too, that you can sit and enjoy and have fun with friends. Cause that's the other part, this community part, enjoying whiskey with others. That's why we make it as well. We don't want to put a $200 price tag and you set it on the back shelf and you never open it and it's just sitting there. We want something that's to be enjoyed, and you maybe after you get done with that bottle, like, man, I need another one of those,
Yes.
But that's how we go.
This is one I believe that, will have multiples on my shelf. This is the kind of thing that you want to share with people when they come over. So I appreciate that. I know people in the chat want to start talking a little bit of ball as well. So, we're going to throw it to Mr. 2 ounce whiskey. I don't understand why you're a Cavs fan, but I do want to hear your thoughts, as, an NBA fan and everything like that. What do you personally think, of the Knicks from a rival standpoint? What do you personally think about the New York Knicks?
Ooh, good question. What do I think of the Knicks? I used to live in New York City. I lived in Brooklyn for 2 years, so I have some proximity to the Knicks. So I've been around your fans. I love how passionate you guys are. Really, when I think of the Knicks, I think about the fandom. You guys are diehard Knicks fans. You guys love it. You guys are crying a lot. means a lot to you. I love it. I think of the Mecca. I think of it's just like the history of the Knicks.
Yeah.
What do I see when I see the Knicks on my schedule? Like not much, whatever.
Wow.
We got Donovan Mitchell. We got Lonzo Ball. We got Julius Randle. We got Jared Allen.
You know what
we
you don't have? A visit to the Eastern Conference Finals this past season.
Lord.
You know what you don't what you don't have? Actual security in your team, because I already hear that you guys are possibly thinking of trading Darius Garland.
It's not happening.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be too sure about that.
I wouldn't be
I'm
too
not
sure
too sure
about that,
about
bro.
Here's the thing about me is I like talking shit, but I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
All right. There's a new rule in enemy territory. All right, listen to this carefully.
Bad manners, eh?
Hold on.
Never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. That's bad manners, eh? Never interrupt.
So I apologize for talking when you were wrong, because there is a possibility you guys would trade Darius Garland, but that's at least rumors. To me, I don't understand that, to be honest. Like, as a Knicks fan, I feel like part of your guys' strength is the fact that Donovan Mitchell doesn't have to put up 40 a night to be able to compete. And I feel like taking Darius Garland out of that equation kind of limits you guys a little bit offensively, because your two bigs are great, but it's also like the reason your two bigs are so successful is that no one wants to double team them, because if it gets dished out to Darius or to Donovan, it's an issue, so your big guys can kind of bully down there. But either way, I think it's funny, though, that you say that when you see us on the schedule, you don't think anything of it, especially after 2 years ago, we're the reason you guys didn't advance in the playoffs. And then last year we went further from you guys. So what is your theory behind not being afraid of the Knicks?
My love for basketball started at, obviously we had LeBron James. So like the LeBron era, we owned the Knicks. That's just my experience of coming into basketball.
Come on, let's be real. LeBron, that whole era wasn't.
Watch how you talk
anything.
About the king.
No, you can't talk about LeBron beating the Knicks when we had the busted New York Knicks team that we did. Like in that whole LeBron Cavs era. We're talking about right now when we show up on your schedule and it's Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, Mikal Bridges. Like, that should make Cavaliers fans shake a little bit. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Well, all right, what are your expectations for you guys this season?
I think going into the season, I think we're going to have a better season than you guys. I think we'll have more wins. I have nothing against you guys. When you guys are on the TV against someone else, like I'll root for you. I love Brunson. He's great. He's fun to watch. I don't know. I don't have a hatred for you guys. I like you guys. I just don't. You're on the schedule. I'm like, okay. You know who I get scared of? I see not this year, but last year I see the Celtics. I'm like, God damn. Again, the Celtics are like the bane of my existence in my basketball fanhood.
Here's the thing.
I hate
maybe
them.
Before, but not now. Like,
especially this year. Yeah.
With Tatum injured and with, I think, Brown now injured, out of nowhere, like, I don't think they're going to be anything to really worry about at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, who wasn't scared of the Celtics last year?
Oh, yeah.
The Knicks.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know why? Because we're just better. Let's be real. And to think, Zach's got to agree, because winning teams have a wildcat, and the only wildcat you guys have is on a two-way contract. So there's your big issue right there.
Well, the other bad thing is, and I hate to go against you, Donovan Mitchell's from U of L. So that's the other part. So I'm siding on the Knicks side right now. Yeah. But I will say this, and even though he was a Louisville guy, I like watching Donovan Mitchell play, and hopefully not a lot of Kentucky people are watching right now, or I'll be in trouble after this. But I mean, it's fun to watch. But yeah, I can't help but root against him though.
No, Donovan's a great player. He really is. He's a great player. He wanted to be a Knick. A lot of us wanted him to be a Knick. He actually thought he was going to be a Knick, and it just never happened. But I really do believe that, like, when it comes to Eastern Conference Finals, especially this year, I think you guys are the second best team in the Eastern Conference Finals, behind the Knicks. I do believe that you guys, have, and the reason I say that is because besides Donovan, you guys have a lot of younger guys, that are still getting to their stride. A lot of our guys are a little bit older than those guys. And I think that they are in their stride and it's like championship mode for the Knicks. But I feel like with your guys' young core, what I like about what the Cavs are doing is that they can move on from Donovan and it not completely cripple them, because they still have a young core of Mobley, Allen, and Garland to build upon. Like, they got three really, really, really good young players, and Mobley continues to get better each season. So I will tap my hat off to him. What are your thoughts, Apollo, like when it comes to those two teams this year?
I'm a basketball fan, number one, but also number one, I'm a Knicks fan. So I'm usually gonna side with the Knicks with anything. But the Cavs, I mean, realistically, the Cavs are a good team, when they're healthy. And that's the caveat right there is health. If they're healthy, like I said, I hate playing against Donovan Mitchell. He can light up at any time. A lot of these guys, what's your young forward's name? Evan Mobley. He's starting to come into his own. Looking scary if you guys know what to do with him. I just, because of our history within the past couple years, I feel like, we can take care of them. You know what I mean? But throughout the year last year, I don't think we beat you guys once. I don't think that happened. But then, that's why, that's why I don't necessarily care about regular season, because we didn't beat the Celtics once and then we beat them and, to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I mean, I think they're going to be, that's going to be a matchup that we're going to have to see all year. It's going to be a very, a nice little battle, because those are the two teams that people are saying are going to be the best two teams in the Eastern Conference. And I give you guys that credit. It could be, you guys could finish the season as the number one team because you guys have that chemistry already. So, that absolutely can happen. But if we get to see you guys in the playoffs, I'm confident in my team's ability to take care of the job. But, I'm not saying it's a wash. You guys are a good team. So, I'm looking forward to that matchup.
Yeah.
I think you got it. Sorry.
That's a great point. Like last year, if they played like they played in the season, in the playoffs, it would have been insane. Yeah. But that's the hard thing, is like, it's just a different game when it comes to the playoffs. Like, playoffs are just different. And I think that was the thing, that the youngness of your guys' team went into the playoffs thinking that because you did that in the playoffs, that's what it would, because you did that in the season, that's what it would look like in the playoffs. And playoffs are different. For players that have years and years under their belt, they unleash something different. It just kind of clicks. It's just like a killer instinct that comes out in the playoffs. And Donovan has that, but the other guys, I don't think, have that yet, or hadn't had that yet. So when I look at Mobley and I look at his offseason and the fact that it looks like he put on like 15 pounds of muscle, that shows you guys are putting in work. So I think you guys are going to be a good team. There's no denying that whatsoever. But I truly believe any team that plays the Knicks this year, the way that we have gone into the offseason shows that we are pretty much going for championship or bust this year. And I think that should instill a little bit of fear into every single team that plays us.
I've got a quick question for both of you, because I'm a I'm on the sideline. So, on, I'm just going to be real. Neither one won the championship last year, so something's got to change a little bit, right? So, this is a question for both fan bases. Who is that person that might be coming back, or that new addition that you think is going to take and push you up that next level to potentially get to that championship?
All right.
Love
so
that
for our
question.
fans, so for us, I'll let Apollo go, then I'll let you go, and then I'll go. Like, what do you think changed in the offseason to make us be championship ready? And then after this, we'll kind of wind down a little bit. But I definitely want to, that's a great question. Thank you, Zach.
I would say, so coming into the season, I guess the weakness that we assumed that we would have was the weakness by, the season end. And that was our bench. It was something that we were starter heavy. That's why the minutes were so crazy for the starters. And everyone was talking about how many minutes the Knicks are playing and all of that. So usually when you have a team that, you look at the roster and you're like, oh man, that starting five is good. And you look at the bench and it's like, oh yeah, that starting five is gonna have to play a lot more. You know what I mean? So that was my feeling last year, is that we had a good starting five, but we needed a little bit more punch off the bench. And I think that we cleared that up a little bit, adding Jordan Clarkson, adding another punch like Yabusele off the bench. And also, of course, the addition of Mike Brown, I think, changes things, because I think it just adds to how these guys can play better. I think an ISO system just does not work with this unit. I don't necessarily like it. I was a big Melo fan, but during the Melo years, I hated how much it was you see Melo dribble and no one moving at all. Everybody's just standing and watching. So I started to see a lot of that last year, and just under Tom Thibodeau. And I'm not mad at Tibbs. I appreciate what he did for us and where he brought us, but I just feel like there needed to be a change, and that change was fortunately Mike Brown. So hopefully we see that come to fruition. But those are the two things that I think would make the big difference for us. Hopefully that chemistry brings it all together.
Let's just real fast. Let's just be real. ISO only ball. I mean, that's early 2000s. I mean, now you got everything's Golden State. All those different ones. I mean, ISO. I don't think it's going to win you anything. So I think it's going to change on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, as a Cavs fan, I think we have a lot of experience with Mike Brown. So I think you upgraded from Thibodeau. Good job. You're going to do better with him. We talked about the playoffs and the Cavs. I think youth obviously played a factor. I agree. More playoff experience is better for the players. Completely agree. I don't think that was our big problem last year, though. I mean, injuries was our number one problem. Donovan Mitchell got injured. Jared Allen got injured. Like, going into the playoffs without two of your main people, you're like shackled. You're not going to be able to perform. So injuries really, really hobbled us. So I agree with what you said, Apollo. Like, if we could stay healthy, I would love to see a matchup with anybody in the playoffs. Might win, might lose, but I think we can hold up against anybody. Acquisition-wise, what makes us a little better this year, I think, is a quiet one people aren't really talking about much, is Lonzo Ball. Someone that can come off the bench, a lot of energy, can dish, can shoot, can do everything you need him to do when the starters are taking a little bit of rest. He will own that second unit, I think, and give us a lot more energy, I think. So I'm excited. I think that I've watched like 2 preseason games, and he's been exciting. He's a good addition to the team.
So
he's finally healthy now too, right? I mean,
yeah. So I would say health is our number one enemy right now. So if we could stay healthy, I like our chances.
Yeah, and that was as a Knicks fan, and I speak for a lot of other Knicks fans as well. We can't crap on you guys getting Lonzo Ball, because a lot of us want Lonzo Ball as well. He's a good 6-man off the bench. He brings you kind of what a Caruso brought to OKC. You know what I mean? So that's a big piece. And Baron his health. He could be a good piece for you guys for sure.
Yeah, and I'll be real with Apollo. Like Apollo said, that is one player that I've always wanted. Like always, like the way that either Ball, him or his brother, like the way that they can facilitate an offense is poetry. Like it's actual poetry in motion. And watching him in the offseason, in the preseason, in this last game, the way that his body is moving now is way different than like, right after his injury when he was with Chicago. Like he is looking like old Lonzo Ball, like very, very quick with it. His facilitating is absolutely ridiculous. The way that he can assist a player on any part of the court is just, it's beautiful. Like absolutely, it's music. Like when you watch him play. So I think that's a huge upgrade for you guys. A player that I would have loved to have gotten. And so I think that was perfect for Cleveland, because what this does is, with those guys having the possibilities of re-injury, such as Darius or Donovan, you have a player off the bench who still has starter type potential. Someone that has started in most of his career that can come off the bench if he needs to and fill that starting role while that player gets healthy. So I think that was a great move by you guys. And I think it will play a big factor in, your guys' season moving forward. For us, I think the biggest upgrades for us was definitely Mike Brown. Like, I got to be completely honest. I was thankful for what Tom Thibodeau did, but if you watch anything from our show this past year, I kept on saying, even if we win the finals, I want it to be Tom Thibodeau's last season, because he's gotten us as far as this guy can actually go. Like, I did not care if we won it all. I did not want him back. So for me, it was music to my ears to watch the first few practices with Mike Brown, where he says, we're running. All practice, we're running. Like, that's all I want to see is nonstop pace. Pick up the pace. Because if you look, not last season, but the season before when we had Obi Toppin, some of the best games that we played offensively was when we were forced to play with pace because Randall was out and Obi Toppin was on the floor with Josh Hart, and they were constantly moving the ball nonstop in fast-paced offense. When Jalen Brunson was out and our team had to figure out other ways to score besides ISO, it was fast-paced offense out of default because they weren't doing what Tom Thibodeau normally does. And to see that this guy wants this to be our norm was seriously music to my ears when I saw it off the bat. So I love the fact that we upgraded to Mike Brown. I really believe that he's going to push not just one player, but all players. I feel like that's what Tom Thibodeau did, was he would push and put all that pressure on a player. For a while, it was Randall. Randall has to do all these things for us to win. Or Jalen. Jalen has to do all these things for us to win. The way Mike Brown is doing it is every single player has to do this for us to win. And that's what I love. And then I honestly, like Apollo said, adding to our bench. That was a huge thing, is we have not had a backup power forward since Obi Toppin. And Obi Toppin's been with Indiana for 2 seasons. We have not had a backup power forward, and we were playing Josh Hart a lot of times as a power forward, and he's a freaking guard. So being able to have a guy like Yabusele come in and have that like grit to him is huge. And I've wanted Jordan Clarkson as a New York Knick for years, because we talk about all the time. Look at the season where we botched it in the playoffs 2 years ago because Jalen Brunson had no one to pass it to. And it was a forced shot by Jalen, even though Josh Hart was open from 3. But he didn't believe that Josh would take it or that Josh would make it, even though that's his buddy. With Jordan Clarkson, that's a player who's going to take the shot. And when he gets hot, he gets hot. They call him like what he is, a guy that can catch fire at any time, because that's what he is. He's not afraid to take the shot. And that's what I love. So if you're in the chat, let us know why you believe that the Knicks are going to stomp out the Cavs this season, so that before we let my guy go, we can at least leave, let him leave with the assurance that the New York Knicks are going to kick their teeth in this summer, this season.
1 week. We're playing 1 week.
I know, which is why I wanted you here, because I wanted, to be able to come back to you all over Instagram and all over TikTok and like have clips of you saying, when it comes to the Knicks being on our schedule, I'm not even scared. I think nothing about it. And so when we win after opening night, you know what clip I'm posting? That exact clip. That's exactly what I'm posting.
Loser has to send the winner another bottle of Silver.
Well, here's the thing. I don't even have a bottle of Silver. I'm already in the negative.
We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that.
I'm hosting the show and I haven't even drank it. All right. So
just being on the sideline real quick,
yeah.
I think the key to both y'all winning the title this year is y'all need to make some trades for some more Kentucky boys. Once y'all do that, whoever does it first, y'all win it.
All right. So what Kentucky boy in the league right now impresses you the most?
Ooh. I mean, obviously SGA is. I mean, D-Book. I mean, you've got. There's so many of them, but one of the ones I think I really hated to see y'all get rid of or trade off was IQ. I mean, quickly I thought fit that team very well. And man, you talking about that guy that can sit in the corner and Brunson can push it out to and he'll shoot it. I mean, IQ could have been that guy. And defense all around. That was the one thing I loved about him at Kentucky and even in the league. He does all the little things that you don't record on the stat sheet. I mean, he's in the passing lanes. He's running up. I mean, he's hustling on everything. Rebounds. It doesn't matter. And that was, I think, was a bit of a loss for y'all. But
no, I appreciated you on the show until you reopened the wound of the brokenness that I already felt for years.
Well, I'm glad to hear. Yeah, I'm glad to hear y'all felt the same way about him because, like I said, I think he's a hell of a player. That
phenomenal.
I mean, he'll be a great addition. I mean, I think Raptors now, but I think he would be better back with y'all. So y'all get that trade going. Like
I'm happy for him where he is though, because he's actually getting the opportunity to be, one of the main guys there. So here he would be a guy off the bench, you know what I mean? And I would love for him to be here, but I'm happy for him for his career though. Yeah.
And it's the same thing, like for me, it stinks because it seemed like our front office was just like throwing things at walls until something would stick. And then if it stuck, they would alter the plan to go that route. And unfortunately, Emmanuel quickly got stuck in that transition because that's the kind of player for me. Like, that's the kind of player I want long-term, like drafted, full-on career, Steph Curry type longevity, stay with the team, like grow with the team, build with the team, win with the team, die with the team. And unfortunately, where it was with Tom Thibodeau, it wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. And with the front office looking for more win now, as opposed to let's let this player become greatness under us. And then we have years of celebration. They just wanted the player that was going to bring the years of celebration immediately. So it was unfortunate. And like Apollo, I'm thankful that he went to a team that sees what we all saw in him, like what the front office and unfortunately the coach didn't give him credit for. Him just getting that new contract made me excited, made me happy because I feel like he deserved it. He deserved it here. And so being able to get it somewhere else made me happy. I think he deserves it. And I think that he's got a great career ahead of him. But yeah, one of my favorite players in the league for sure.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And he's a guy that just keeps getting better. I mean, every season, I think he improves. I don't think he's hit his ceiling yet. That's the fun part about him. Yeah.
The thing about IQ is he always wants to go back to the drawing board. That's what I always loved about him. When he first came into the league, he had one skill set, and it was great in that department, but the other one was horrible. Next year, he brought the other one. The other one started to lack. He built that back up, and so I think he's just a complete player, which I love. I love the fact that he is a two-way guard. So many guards are either just scorers or just defenders. He is elite when it comes to both of them. So shout out to him for sure. So, all right, before we let the two of you guys go, let's talk about what we can do to help Silk Velvet push in this season.
Yeah, I mean, now for us, I mean, it's just getting the word out. I think Kentucky Bourbon Festival was our first heel, and now, riding that momentum, but also it's getting people to taste it, talk about it. But we've seen the biggest thing is just when people actually get to taste the whiskey, it starts. They fall in love with it. I mean, the story, the bottle, and everything, obviously help, but getting to taste it, people instantly are like, oh man. And that's what makes us feel so good. I mean, it just knowing that people are enjoying it. And you saw it at Kentucky Bourbon Festival. I mean, the day one, I think the first hour, I don't even think we tasted a single person. Everybody's walking past our booth, going to Dark Arts for buff turkey, and rightfully so. That stuff was delicious. And but and then it was like, all right, let's put a barrel out in the middle and start asking people to come over. And they're like, hey, you want to try some whiskey? And they're like, yeah, I guess I'll try you. I don't know anything about you. And then after getting some people in to taste, then by that afternoon, it was like, I was told to come to your booth. I need to try this. And I mean, it was completely different just from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. And it was all just people getting to taste it. And that's what, like I said, we're not I'll give you another sell of it. We're not big money behind this. We are literally, this is a passion project for us. This is something that we just genuinely enjoy. We love whiskey. We love sharing it with people. And so just getting to see this is just making our day. And we'll see how far this goes, but hopefully just people just continue to enjoy the whiskey. And we're going to continue to put out stuff that we really enjoy.
And I love that. Being at Kentucky Bourbon Fest, like I said, immediately I started getting texts like, have you tried this? Like, head over there. I think people just knew that my palate was going to fall in love with it, and I'll be honest, for me, the character of the people that are behind the brand are just as important to me as what's in the bottle. Like, if I like something in the bottle and I get to know the brand and the people behind it, and they put a poor taste in my mouth, I don't care to have that bottle. Like, I just don't. Like, it's not something that I'm going to support when I feel like they are a certain way that just like is very off-putting, but when I met you guys and I met your family, like, it solidified even more so why I want this brand to succeed, and so what's been awesome for me is, as a whiskey content creator, every single day since Kentucky Bourbon Festival, I do not kid you, I have seen multiple posts from people within our community promoting Silk Velvet, like nonstop. And this is before I even came to you guys talking about influencers. Like, these are just other influencers that are constantly talking about your guys' brand. And that makes me excited because there's some brands that I meet them and I want to support them because they're great people, but the juice inside the bottle is just not good. And I'm just like, oh, that's so hard. Like the people person in me wants to like promote you guys because I like you guys and I want to hug you and I think you're awesome, but your whiskey is absolutely horrible. So I can't, like from that account, I can be your friend, but I can't promote you, but with you guys, it was like both of those things. So I'm truly, truly thankful. So if anyone is watching on this show that enjoys whiskey or enjoys cocktails or anything of the sort, please do me a favor and head to Seelbach today. If you're watching this on the replay gang next week, head to Seelbach today and pick up a bottle of Silk Velvet. Do me a favor, once you have it, post it on social media, tag them, allow people to see that you're supporting good whiskey, because that's what this part of the show is about, is promoting brands that deserve to be promoted. So please do me that favor and support them. And now, Mr. 2 Ounce, what's in the pipeline for you? I know you're creating amazing content, like educational content, which I love. So for the people that are in our space that don't necessarily understand a lot about whiskey, this is an account to follow, because he is nonstop breaking down what makes bourbon a bourbon, what makes rye a rye, what makes this. And like, he seriously has the patience of a saint to educate people in a way that I don't. So like it's definitely one of those accounts to follow to help you understand the world of whiskey a lot better.
Hey, that was really nice. Thank you, man. I will echo the sentiment that at KBF, I got multiple people saying, go try Silk Velvet, go over there, go to that tent. You got to try that. So I completely agree. And then you might not, Knick fans, listen, you might not like my NBA takes, okay? But I feel like I know whiskey. You can trust my whiskey takes.
That I do. Facts.
The people, the story, the word of mouth, all that stuff together, and then having this bottle in the $40 price range is crazy. I didn't look at the price before. I would have guessed 80, 90, something in that range. So in the 40s is crazy. You guys need to go pick this up. As for, I don't know, forget what you asked me. What do I have cooking? Nothing. My whole channel is just like, what do I find interesting and what do I want to make? Okay, I'll put that out. So I don't know. Whatever's going to be interesting to me in a couple days, I'll record that and then I'll put it out.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to have you back after we kick your teeth in on a few games.
I can't wait. Oh my God.
And then playoff time, if we play you, we'll definitely have to be, having you on an episode as well. We actually might have to figure something out where we do a watch party where we only serve whiskey and cocktails from Silk Velvet. And we have both myself, Apollo, Iru, and you in the same building, live streaming the game and having whiskey and cocktails. We might have to figure that out come playoff time. That's just my idea right now.
I like that idea.
That would be an insane series.
I'm down. In the finals, you guys can come to Cleveland and we'll hang out.
Wow.
Well, I appreciate both of you guys. I put both of your links in the comment. So thank you both for being on the show. We appreciate you guys. We're going to go deep into New York Knicks territory now. And both of you guys don't deserve to have to stick around for that. So I appreciate both of you guys. Yes. And I appreciate you guys spending your Thursday night with us. So cheers and God bless you both.
Well, thank you both. Thank you all. Had a blast.
Nice to meet
you
guys.
Man. Have a great night, guys.
See y'all.
Later, man.
All right, man. That was fun. I appreciate those guys.
Yeah,
all right. So, guys, you're probably wondering why 2 or 3 of us are on the stage right now. And so things are going to be a little bit different this season because we know that Iru is going to be going so hard this season, bringing back the Die Hard Knicks podcast. And we want to support that. We don't want him to feel like he always has to be here. And a lot of times he has to be, at work till about 9 o'clock. So we actually decided that the whiskey portion and all that stuff we're going to get out of the way before we bring up Mr. Iru for a new session that we are calling For the Diehards. And this is where we just get into full-on Knicks talk. And then we open it up to those that are wanting to be on the open panel. So those of you guys that are in the chat that want to join, those of you guys that are on Twitter that want to join, this is going to be your time, because what we're going to do is we're going to talk about topics. And if you guys want to join, you are more than welcome. You just let us know that that is a topic you want to speak on, and we will give you the mic. So right now, here is going to be the open panel link that I'm posting right now for you guys to be able to come and talk your talk. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring up my guy, my friend, hardworking Knicks content creator, Mr. Die Hard. Hey, bro. I love the fact that StreamYard has like all these sound options now that I can just put up, and I don't need to like buy a Rode like mixer to be able to do sound. Like I have my own hair horn now. Look at that. Look at that. Shout out to StreamYard. Love it. What? Yo, cut that crap out. That's so creepy.
Yo, Phil, you got to teach me about that. I didn't know StreamYard was doing that, bro.
I know, bro. It's so crazy. I don't like what Eru just did. That was freaky and weird and not something I enjoyed at all.
Skin turned gray and everything. Lord.
Oh man, what up, Eru? How's it going, bro?
Chilling. I was in the back since the beginning of the show, but whatever.
Yo, that's
I
your
didn't
fault,
realize that it
bro.
was like a
You
hard-
asked me what the new schedule was, and I posted it to both you and Apollo. So if you don't read the text to the questions that you ask, that's on you, bro.
Okay, cool.
I love you, though. I love you.
All right, sounds
I'm
good.
glad you're here. All right. So what we're going to talk about first is preseason. What were you guys' thoughts on what we saw? Did anybody stick out to you? Did anybody stick out to you in a benefit way or in a concerning way? And since you were waiting so hard for all that time, so long, Mr. Eru, I'm gonna let you go first.
All right. Well, first off, I want to say hello to 2 Ounce Whiskey and to the other dude too. Nice to meet you guys. We were talking in the chat. I thought I got a chance to say at least hello to them guys. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. So as far as the preseason, the only thing that I really noticed was just the style of play. The one person that stood out the most to me is Mikal Bridges, just for the simple fact that it feels like that he has like a joy now.
Yep.
He has like a joy, like a bounce to his step. He's a lot more lively than he ever was last year. And this is just preseason. So that goes to show you that whatever's happening, is it something that he agrees with? Because he was trying to get the guys' energy up all year, layup lines in the postseason and all that stuff. So I think he's getting what he's been asking for, from Mike Brown. So I think that's pretty good. So I've been enjoying that. Other than that, you see the talent from everybody. Everybody has talent, but it's just all about them buying in. But that was the main thing that I noticed, Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, and that's a great point because a lot of times people act like when we give our thoughts and our takes and everything like that we're just making things up to fit some kind of narrative that we want to fit, But when we talked about last season, Mikal not really gelling with Tom Thibodeau, people would give us crap, especially in the chat. A lot of people did not feel like we were actually giving non-biased takes. They thought that it was just because of how we saw Thibodeau. But if you look at Mikal now, Mikal feels like a different person. Like it feels like he's just doing what we brought him here to do. And he's loving the accountability that he's getting from a coach. Like how many players can you say like they love the fact that they're being corrected? There's not. A lot of players have big old egos and feel like they're above correction from the coach. Like imagine LeBron being told how to, shoot a basket or, why he needs to run faster. His pride is not going to let him hear a single thing. But you have guys like Mikal that they want that. They desire that. And he's getting that now. And he's talking about it in the interviews that he's loving this about Mike Brown because he's calling out the things that they're doing wrong. So I love seeing that in Mikal as well. So I appreciate that. Before I go to you, Apollo, I want to bring this little proof of evidence right here. So this is our group text between me and Mr. Apollo and Mr. Eru when we're talking about this year's section of how we're going to run the show. And right here, you'll see for the diehard Knicks, this is where we will bring up Apollo. So, this is where we will bring up Eru. So I'm sorry, Eru. I apologize. I love you. But it was there. It was there. I wasn't trying to forsake you. If I knew you wanted to be up, I would have brought you up. I love you. So, yeah, no hard feelings. I love you, brother.
Yeah, well, communication would be nice, you know what I'm saying? But, this is the first episode. So I figured I'll try to make it here for 8 o'clock just because it's the first episode. But, I guess I need to read better. I got to figure out how to read, I guess. You know what I'm saying? You just send me the text. You sound like my fucking wife. You know what I'm saying? My wife will say something like that. Oh, we talked about that. I sent you the text. You didn't see the text? Okay.
Well, if the two most important people in your life are telling you the same thing, maybe you need to. All right. Apollo, what are your thoughts from the offseason, for the preseason?
It was good to see these guys running up and down a little bit differently than they were before. One of those games, he even said that he just didn't run any plays. He just let these guys, I guess, read and react. I guess that's what they call it. You know, the read and react system and everything. But yeah, man, I like what I've been seeing in terms of how the ball is moving. And guys are flowing a little bit easier than they were before. And you know, it to me, it just seems as though we finally have like, you know, a bench that we can go to and not have to worry about running our main guys so much. You know, they have to get used to the system, of course, for sure. But you know, I think that's for me something, you know, a breath of fresh air. You know, they were still winning in some of the games. Of course, besides for the last game. I don't know what was going on with these guys, but it was they were down by like 30 some at some point, which I don't know what was going on. But you know, none of the starters played. Also Josh didn't play, so you know. But yeah, I just feel like the team plays a little bit easier, and we were getting easier buckets, and that was something that I wanted us to do for a long time, is not work so hard for our buckets, and you know, you could just get easier buckets, and that's something that we didn't really do that well. So getting on the floor, seeing the ball fly up the court, these guys running immediately instead of slowing it up and being in one of the slowest paces in the league last year is a welcome change.
Yeah. What I like seriously loved about watching the offseason was there was different moments where each player shined. And we didn't really see that a ton last year. You know, like we expected certain players to get their shine, you know, but being able to see, you know, certain games where Jordan Clarkson would come in and all of a sudden he's got, you know, the most points off the bench, you know, like I think that what Mike Brown is doing is something that all of us have wanted for a long time. You know, what is one thing that all three of us talked about, that we felt that Thibodeau was the Mark Jackson of the Warriors, right? That he was the guy before we actually saw something that happened. And with Steve Kerr, all of a sudden, the offense moved a lot more. The offense became more of a full-on team sport. And I think that's what we're going to see right now. I think that's what we're going to see when it comes to the New York Knicks, is being able to not just rely on a 40 bucket, 40-point night from Jalen Brunson. I don't want to rely on a 40-point night from Jalen Brunson. I want to rely on Jalen Brunson being able to be Jalen Brunson. And if he gets 40 points, cool, but we don't need it to win. And I think that's what we're going to see. I think we saw that a lot in Abu Dhabi. Unfortunately, we didn't see that as much when we went up against the Wizards, right? Washington. We played the Wizards. But I think that game was more so telling of who we keep and who we let go. I think that's what that game was for. I don't think that was a game for us to actually win or us to actually like implement something new. I think that game was solely there for us to be able to figure out what moves we have to make. And let's talk about that. What moves do we have to make? Because we were all, in my opinion, a lot of us were banking on Malcolm Brogdon being one of those guys that we made a move for. Like if you look on Twitter, there was a lot of talks of Pacome Dadier being moved so that we could keep both Malcolm Brogdon and Landry Shamet. And then all of a sudden, this was announced that this guy was retiring, that he was not going to pursue his career in the NBA, that he was hanging it up, even though the Knicks spent all that time having him have a roster spot to see if Malcolm Brogdon was going to be part of the New York Knicks' future. And obviously now he's not. So with the news of Malcolm Brogdon retiring, what are your guys' thoughts on what the New York Knicks do? I'll go to you first, Apollo.
Well, I mean, it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to really make a trade for a guy. I think the plan was to keep 2 of 3 guys, so they had to make a deal for one of maybe I think Pacome or Kolik. So now that they don't have to make that decision between Garrison, Malcolm, and what's the last guy?
Matthews.
No, Shamet.
Yeah,
Shamet. Yeah, now that you don't have to make the decision between 3 of them, and it's only 2, you don't have to make that a trade. So I think what it does is it calms some young guys down. They don't have to worry about being shipped off. I don't think that's 100% something that they can like not worry about anymore. I just think for now, in terms of making a roster spot, I think that works well for them. But I do think that it's not going to close the door on a lot of these trade talks that were had during this time. But I think that these guys will be able to sign who they brought in, and hopefully that works out for them. If not, this is we have until December to keep who we have, and then you could trade some of those guys if you want to make any moves. But we'll see when that time comes.
So if it was up to you, though, Apollo, who would stay? Would you keep Matthews and Shamet, or would you keep Pacome and one of those guys? And which guy?
If I had to make a move,
yeah, well, we can't keep both of those guys. Like, we can't keep both Matthews, Shamet, and Pacome. We can keep either Matthews and Pacome or Shamet and Pacome, but to keep both of those guys, we have to let go of one of our young guys.
So we still have to make a move, even though
Yeah.
Malcolm's not. I mean, if that's the case, Shamet is going to play in the playoffs. So, I mean, I'd rather keep the guy that's going to play in the playoffs and actually bring us some production. Unfortunately, if we're talking long term, I would rather Pacome, because when was the last time we had a young wing that we developed? I think, what was it? I think we were talking about it on my show last week at Wilson Chandler. It's probably the last wing we developed. You know what I mean? So I would like for us to develop a young guy for sure. So unfortunately, we have a plethora of guards. I like Kolek, but we can. He's, for what he can bring, he's not cracking the minutes of a lot of other guys. So I would rather keep Pacome in that situation.
All right. What about you, Ear?
Yeah, it would have been nice to have all three, because I kind of like Garrison Matthews also too. You know what I'm saying? But thinking about the trade deadline and stuff, if there's a possibility to get Giannis and stuff, it would be nice to have Pacome to throw into the package if he was to do something like that. So I mean, at the present time, I think keeping Shamet with the young guys is fine. Garrison, that dude, he could shoot the lights out, man. It seems like he's enjoying the competition and stuff. So, it's really Mike Brown's decision, I would guess. You know what I'm saying? But I think from a team standpoint, I think most of the guys probably just would rather have Shamet because he's been there and stuff. So, continuity, things like that. I think what's happening with the Knicks now, I think it's just meant to be. And I feel bad though, because I felt like a comfort having Brogdon on the team. Because I think that he can run a team. So as soon as he comes in here, we're going to be organized and stuff. So now, we was begging for that ball handler. So that ball handler is going to be Jordan Clarkson now, because I still don't believe in what Deuce can do. He's very confident, but just as far as him making other people better and that type of thing, he doesn't really have that in his game. So it's really going to be on Jordan Clarkson as that main ball handler off the bench. So having Brogdon there was that safety net, that that warm blanket, that we would have that extra ball handler, but we don't have that right now. So just have to wait later on in the season.
And you know what? It's crazy, because this is the first time in a long time where it's like we have so many options that we want. Like, so many times we're like, can we just get somebody? Can we please just get somebody that we want on the roster? And now we're picking and choosing. I think it's frustrating for me, because something like retirement, to me, I don't think just comes out of nowhere. I think that's something that you're thinking about in the back of your head regardless. And so for me, I feel like we were robbed the opportunity to really test somebody else out that might be a good fit, because Malcolm Brogdon was, in that spot. And I would have liked Malcolm Brogdon, but like the fact that retirement was in the background kind of puts a little bit of a tainted taste in my mouth. But it's hard, because it's like, I want to win now, because the guys that we're putting all the money in is right now. When you look at Cat, when you look at Brunson, when you look at Mikhail and OG, this is now money, you know? So it's like, I want to win now because that's where all of our money is, but I also don't want to rob the future, you know? And so Pacome would be the future if he develops into what I think he could develop into. But would keeping Matthews and keeping Shamet guarantee us a better bench to win right now? I think so. I think that Matthews 3-point shooting is something that like would definitely be beneficial to us off the bench in crunch time and needing to get back into a game. And Shamet already knows how to work with the players that are on our bench. So I feel like it's unfortunate that it's a now or tomorrow kind of situation when it comes to the Knicks. So I'm trying to figure out like, how do you balance that? And that's hard for me because I do believe that Dadier is going to grow into something awesome. So it's hard because I want both of those guys, but I also want Dadier. I feel like as much as I wanted Kolek, he hasn't improved enough to keep Kolek. So I would be willing to trade Kolek, but I don't think that we would get enough out of trading Kolek to be able to keep both Matthews and Shamet and Dadier, which is the unfortunate part. And this is where I throw a curveball to you guys. Okay. So we got those three. Okay. But we also have what was just announced today that Spencer Dinwiddie was let go from the Charlotte Hornets. They signed him. He's not going to see a single minute as a Charlotte Hornet. What do you guys think of adding a Spencer Dinwiddie to the New York Knicks? Someone that has what we're missing, which is playmaking. Like if you look, that dude can play make. Like the only negative when it comes to Spencer Dinwiddie is that he's trolled New York Knicks fans, which a lot of players have. But I can look past that, kind of like I would have looked past Kelly Oubre, talking smack about some New York Knicks fans in the past. But what would be your guys' thoughts on a Landry Shamet situation? I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie situation.
Well, he got to keep that same energy. That's what I got to say to Knicks fans, because I'm looking at everybody on the timeline on like Twitter and stuff like that, and the Instagram making videos and stuff about Spencer Dinwiddie. Like he's been trashing us for his entire career when he was with Brooklyn and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then I think did he have 2 stints in Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken? But whatever, man. Every time he got a microphone in his face, somebody asks him about the Knicks, and unsolicited, he just comes out with a whole bunch of like, anti-Nick rhetoric, man. So you know what I'm saying? Now he needs a job. So I would just say, just keep looking. He don't need to come over here, even though we can use his talent. There's plenty of basketball players out there, and I would rather, try to get somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Because like for me, like it has to be a standard, bro. I mean, regardless of the guy can play or not. Like you can't like just forget, somebody that was doing that to you. You know what I'm saying? So I just say no all the way to Spencer Dinwiddie.
All right, I appreciate that. What are your thoughts, Apollo, before I give my thoughts and then bring up Mr. Fritz to give his opinion? Shout out to Mr. Corey Lee. Appreciate you so much, bro. I seriously freaking love that you constantly support all these years, no matter what channel I've been on. Means the world to me. Shout out to my guy, Knicks Nation. Same thing. So appreciate you guys. What are your thoughts, Apollo, on Spencer Dinwiddie?
So, I mean, there's a lot of petty in me. There's a lot of petty in me, and I keep receipts. I don't forget anything. So it could be a good or bad thing. So I can't say don't bring him in, but there's a part of me that would love to bring him in just to throw it in his face that you got to shut up and to show where you are, because now you have to be a Knick as much as you talk the trash. We knew we all know if it's up to him, he wouldn't be a Knick. So if he were to come here, that means it's really bad. It's really bad. So, I mean, I would use it in that sense. If we were to get him, I'm cool because he looks like the kind of guy that has an attitude. And if he doesn't get the minutes or the spot that he wants, he could become a little toxic. Because I've seen him speak out, in multiple occasions. But more than anything, my question is why? Like, why could you not make the Hornets roster? You know what I mean? Like there's no way you couldn't make that roster talent-wise. So was it health? Was it something that happened? Did you get into it with somebody and you guys just decided to part ways? Or you're not that good anymore? Because we're talking about the Hornets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I need to know why you didn't make the Hornets roster. Like, this is a team. Was it not the Hornets? You never played for the Hornets?
Well,
It was Hornets.
there's a difference. So the Hornets are nowhere close to where we're at. Like, I think with the Hornets, they are in a complete, like, nonstop rebuild. Like, this is a team that needs to figure something out before LaMelo is done with his career. So I think that they're just figuring everything out, and anyone who's on the books that, like, can't help them build something for the next, like, 5-10 years is someone they're going to let go. So I don't want to put that as, like, the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
And I understand where Iru's coming from. And me and the whole crew of the Nick of Time show, we talked earlier, and I'm going to bring up Fritz and Ron from Baltimore, who's in backstage right now. I'm going to bring them up after this. But we were all talking on what we thought. And for me right now, I'm looking at it from a championship mode. That's the only goggles that I'm looking through right now is championship goggles. And so first I look at it. Okay, it's a sport. How many of us have trash talked full on people that we love, like when playing against them in basketball? Like, let's be real. Like, nothing's on the line except the fact that we're going to win a 3-on-3 basketball tournament at, like, our family cook-off. Nothing on the line, yet we talked mad trash. So I'm like, okay, it's sports. Trash is going to be talked. So one thing I said, I don't like Dinwiddie. I think he's been a punk. But in the same way that I would have taken Oubre, I would take him for a chip. I think that there's a difference between Durant or LeBron, who talk trash and then wanted to come here. But with them, they would come here and they would get all the glory. It would be that the Knicks won a chip because they brought LeBron or Durant. Dinwiddie, he may have talked trash, but if he would come here, he would just be a role player. And that would help us to win, but it would not be I came to New York and I won. No one's going to believe that. No one's going to believe that you're the reason that the New York Knicks won a championship. No one's going to give you that glory. On the other hand, I
can see him saying that, though. I can see him having a big campaign saying that.
I don't think he would, because his role is going to be so small. I see it being more so that, like, one of those things where it's like you needed the New York Knicks the whole time in order to win something. Like, you came to the Knicks as a mere role player in order to get the championship that you chased everywhere else. So it would be more of a humbling pie, in my opinion, for him to come to the Knicks and win, because he's merely a 8th man off the bench, as opposed to him thinking that he's somebody else that could help a team to win in their starting lineup. Like, no, we brought you here and we gave you a chip. Like, we gave you a championship. More so than, like, a Durant who would come here and would soak up all the glory. So I think it's a little bit different, in my opinion. I would not turn a deaf ear to a Durant coming to New York. I would not turn a deaf ear to a LeBron coming to New York, but I would turn a deaf ear to mireless chatter from someone like Spencer Dinwiddie talking trash and coming to the New York Knicks. Because look at it. Ever since we got Jalen Brunson, as much as I love Miles McBride, what is one thing for the past few seasons we've been looking for? someone who can actually facilitate a bench. Why? Because Miles McBride is a good player, but he's not a facilitator, and he's not someone who can create for himself. Spencer Dinwiddie, you can see nonstop highlights of him being able to create for himself and for others. And that's the only reason I would take him on. But without further ado, I'm going to bring up my guy Fritz, and I'm going to bring up my guy, Mr. Ron from Baltimore. And I'm going to have them talk their talk. Mr. Fritz, what's up, my guy?
Hey, what's up, Phil? What's up, Apollo? Hey, what's up, Eru? Great to see you guys. Great to have you back.
It's good, bro.
Appreciate you, bro. So what are your thoughts, bro? What are your thoughts on this whole Dinwiddie thing? What are your thoughts on who we should keep or who we shouldn't keep in order to make our bench what we need it to be for this season?
I just take it as like fun banter, him back and forth with New York. I never seen him say anything like like really bad about New York. I think he was just having fun. So I'm not taking it seriously. I wouldn't feel any kind of way about him playing for the Knicks. I would be encouraged by having him on the team because he is someone who has played big minutes, and in recent years he has played a lot of minutes. And you never want like something really bad to happen on this team, but you have to think worst case scenario. If Jalen Brunson wasn't here for a period of time, do you have someone who can hold it down? And Dinwiddie is one of those guys. I'm confident he can hold it down if he had to hold it down for a month or two without Jalen Brunson.
And that's what I like. You know, like I love Jalen Brunson, but we are in an NBA where it seems like players are getting hurt left and right. You know, we just saw Jaylen Brown get hurt in a preseason game, you know, and so for me, as much as I love Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, as much as I love Miles McBride coming off the bench, I don't see these guys as someone that if Jalen Brunson was to get hurt, has the experience to facilitate an offense to make sure that we don't fall behind if Jalen Brunson was to get hurt. With a Spencer Dinwiddie, I feel like he's got the experience and also the skill sets to be able to make sure that we do stay afloat if a Jalen Brunson was to get hurt. So I love that take, Fritz. I appreciate you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm one of the outliers on how this roster is going to shake out. I really don't think Landry Shamet is worth sacrificing one of the kids for. So I was never of that mind that was going to happen. I think the Knicks have been working on something for a couple of months. The possibility of adding 2 veterans has gone all the way back to July. Yeah. And if this isn't last minute, the Knicks trying to put a trade together, I think the Knicks have been trying to put something together for the last few months.
So is there anyone on the market that you personally think would be worth like adding to the roster?
Outside of Dinwiddie, not a lot. I'm really for consolidation. Taking a rookie, taking another player, or taking 2 rookies and bringing 1 player back. Making a roster spot that way. Because I really there's a lot of youth on this team. It may be too much.
I agree with that.
You have
that's a good take.
You have players queued up in the G League. And you got players like Dink Pate who can't even get a 2-way spot. Yeah. So consolidation doesn't bother me.
Before I throw it to Ron, who is the one player in preseason that you really think that the Knicks need to invest more into? You still there?
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
As bad as a lot of people have been down on Pacome Dadier, but his passing has been really good. So I do see that in him. Every time I see Diawara, I see really good instincts. Always keeps his head up. It would be a shame if he doesn't get onto the full roster.
Yeah.
So I think that's a must. I think Diawara must make the roster. Pacome, if you can get a first round pick, I'm okay with it. If you can get a first round pick for Pacome, somehow, some way, I'm okay with it. Because in the long run, I think they have their eyes on Giannis.
All right. I'm gonna throw it to Ron. Ron, what's up, bro? Nice to have you up here. Appreciate you so much. What are your thoughts on the things that we're talking about? Players that you saw promise in preseason. What player should kind of get the push into being able to get more minutes this season? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Great show.
Thank you, bro.
Iro, I went to a game with you. Remember we sat next to each other at that Wizards Knicks game where I was yelling MVP and I got the whole Wizards crowd to yell MVP for Randall. Remember that?
Yeah, that was dope. Yeah, I was waiting for an opportunity to mention that. You sat right next to me.
That was me. Yeah. Well, we did it together though.
Yeah, but I know you as Shripal. I don't know you as Ron. Yeah. I don't know who Ron is. I know.
I hear you. No, I'm excited, man. I needed to get on and just talk to people that are excited like me. And this whole season for me, and I'll definitely answer the question. Mike Brown's job for me in the regular season is managing minutes appropriately and playing the bench and figuring out the lineups that he likes, that works against big teams, small, like just figuring everything out. I don't care about if we win 55. Obviously, I'd love the 1 seed. That would be great. And we're going to try to win games. But I honestly want a regular season where I know exactly going into the postseason what everyone is, what works well against what, and I want a healthy team. We have a bench now, so I ain't blaming. We obviously have more guys. They did a good job, but managing the minutes is very important. Managing Mitchell Robinson, managing Jalen Brunson's minutes. Yes, Jalen Brunson's going to play a lot. I get that, but on a back-to-back, it might not be worth it to, pull him early if we're winning by 20 points. And Tibbs never liked to do that. Even when we were up 20 points, he would keep Jalen in there with 5 minutes left. Live to fight another day with Jalen. Let Jalen sit on the bench for 5 minutes. So that's just my spiel on the regular season. As far as players, what I've seen, it's just I can't really judge anything right now because it's a whole different way they're going about it, especially last game where the guys didn't really play the starters. But I like Yabusele. I think he can give this team a dimension we haven't had before, and I think we can play a lot of different lineups with him, depending on matchups. And I think the player that I think people – Tibbs did this too, and I know everybody values Deuce McBride, but everybody talks about, Mitchell Robinson should start or Josh Hart is the starter. And yes, Mitchell Robinson I do think should start with Towns to start the season. We'll see how it looks. But there are certain lineups where when Deuce McBride plays with the starting lineup that I like better than any lineup we can throw out there with Jalen Brunson in the backcourt and Deuce. And I feel like people – I get it. We have more bench players now, and I think Deuce, sometimes people forget that Deuce can play with the starters, and we can have a lot of success. Teams can't match up with the playmaking of I know Deuce really isn't a playmaker, but he's a shot maker, and with Brunson on the floor, a lot of space is created. I'm excited about the season. I'm disappointed about Brogdon's retirement. The last thing I'll say is I know Brogdon didn't look great in preseason, but to your point, that's the one thing I think this team is missing, maybe, is the veteran point guard behind Brunson. When teams like try to bang on Brunson and, pick him up full court in the playoffs, we do need a little more ball handling. What I think Leon Rose is going to do is wait till the trade deadline or buyout market. Maybe they'll be even better than a Dinwiddie. I think Dinwiddie could help, but I think we should first see. This is just my opinion. I don't disrespect anybody that thinks Dinwiddie should come on board. But I think let's see what we have. Jordan Clarkson can pass. I'm not saying he can't pass. Is he the best playmaker? Probably not. But let's see what it looks like with everyone. And then if we need to get another backup point guard, I do think that is one thing we should look at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Or
no,
buyout.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your excitement, first of all. As Knicks fans, one thing that's really hard is seeing so many people, on Knicks social media that are just so negative no matter what we do. It's like, goodness gracious, what do we have to do to get you excited? And that's, kind of hard as a Knicks fan when you're seeing so much negativity and you're like, you're excited yourself. And you're like, who the heck else is excited? Everyone else seems to be so bitter. So I love your excitement. The only thing I'll say is as much as I love Miles McBride, the problem with him in the starting lineup is he doesn't require anyone to really second guess having to focus on him defensively. There's times where he gets his shot up and it's really good. And there's times where he gets his shot up and it's not really good, and no one is afraid of him being able to create something for himself. He is a catch and shoot shooter. So with Jalen Brunson, who's not a playmaker, and Miles McBride, who's not a playmaker, it doesn't really open up anything for our offense. So when you have a guy like Mike Brown, who's now trying to make us be more fast-paced, constantly keeping the ball moving, and yet you don't have anyone who really has full court vision as your point guard or your shooting guard, that causes a stump in that movement. That causes a lack of actual court vision. So that's the only reason I wouldn't do it. If Jalen Brunson was more of a floor general, Miles McBride would make sense in the starting lineup, but Jalen Brunson is not floor general at all.
Yeah. I don't want you to, if you misunderstood me, I'm not saying we should have Deuce McBride start, but what I am saying is the reason I think there are times during the game where this is just my opinion, totally, if people disagree, no problem. I like certain parts of the game where Deuce plays with a lot of the starters for good chunks of the game. I don't think Deuce should start the game. It's really also, by the way, all that really matters is who finishes the game, who's the last five. Yeah. I think, to your point about Brunson is not a playmaker, so I'll just say this. I think Brunson needs to get – obviously, he needs to get better. If we're going to ever win a championship, Brunson needs to become a better facilitator of the basketball, and that's what this whole Mike Brown thing getting I'm with you on that. But I think getting back to the piece about ball handling and creation, I think Deuce McBride, yes, he's a catch-and-shoot guy. There's not many guys on the team who on this team besides Jalen Brunson can attack off the dribble. Jordan Clarkson can. Josh Hart, not really. Hart can't. I mean, a little bit. So that's what worries me. I think Deuce McBride's getting better at it. Is he the best? No. But I don't know. I like his defense a lot. He's an important part. I think some Knicks fans sleep on Deuce a little bit, so I needed to give him a shout out. But I agree with you. He shouldn't start the game.
No, he's a great player. He really is. He adds a lot to us. And I think that Mike Brown is going to find the right place for him. And I think that he should see some minutes with the starters. I think him and Brunson necessarily don't flow well together, but him finding minutes with Cat, finding minutes with McHale, finding minutes with OG, I think will allow him to continue to get better as a player. But I agree with you. Jalen Brunson has to this season adapt to this Mike Brown kind of offense. and allow himself to develop more as a facilitator than just a scorer. Because that's one thing that limited us. But I'm going to bring up Corey Lee real quick and get his takes on some things, and we can keep kind of going with the roundtable. Corey.
What's good, Phil? How you doing? What's up, fellas?
I'm good, man.
Apollo. No, Fritz, I see you almost every day.
Yeah.
You know, pretty well.
Peace.
So real quick before Corey gives his takes, if you ever had a friend where 99% of the time you don't agree, but you always want that person over for dinner, that's mine and Corey Lee's relationship. Like, this is a guy that I will constantly support through and through, but me and him barely ever agree. And when we agree, it's kind of like that movie Step Brothers, where we're like, did we just become best friends? Like, anytime we actually like have an agreement. So that's my guy, Corey Lee. So for those of you guys don't know our relationship, you may think that me and Corey Lee are going at each other, but it's actually just making us closer as friends. So shout out to my guy, Corey.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that, Phil. You know, it is what it is. Spree pretty much stole most of my take, but yeah, the front office is not going to bust any moves at all. And I'm grateful Brogdon decided to hang it up and move on because, like I said last night, and Fritz knows this, he was looking bad. He was looking like Barney Rubble out there on the court.
Yeah.
He couldn't keep up, couldn't move with the kids. He couldn't do what he got to do. I mean, you couldn't get past nobody without a pick. So that means you putting Fritz. I mean, you putting Mitch in a whole lot of pick and rolls unnecessarily if he's out there on the court. Most of all, you know, it would be smart because we're not going to waste any of these assets that we have right now on any NBA reclamation projects unless you're ready to go right now. And we're in championship mode. So wasting any of these young cats on that, unless it is around the trade deadline and it's a necessary need or a serious gap that we have to have it. You know what I'm saying? It's all we have all the bullets in our rifle right now.
Okay.
So you know,
so let me ask you this, Corey. So obviously we can't keep Matthews, we can't keep Shamit, and keep one of the young guys. So are you keeping a young guy and one of those two, or are you letting go of the young guy and picking up both of those guys and letting go of Dadier?
No, I'm not letting go of Dadier.
Okay.
Dadier is, you know, he's the biggest asset. He's the biggest asset out of all of them. Shamit, I'm telling you right now, you better hope he has a rabbit foot. Because, you know, I mean, who's not going to, I mean, who else is there? I mean, we have there's 12 solid seats right now. Everybody's solid. 12 players, correct? Solidly in there. And then we got what? Three
it's
more
either
slots.
Shamit or Matthews.
I'm telling you right now, listen, Gary Bird was killing them. So Gary Bird was killing them. So, and I mean, this is like you're splitting hairs right now. And now this choice right here is going to be more so on the coach and what he wants instead of the front office. If he wants to go, because Garrison Matthews has height and he's a solid shooter, and then you got Shamit who's a decent defender and an all right shooter. I mean, you splitting hairs. It's gonna be a battle royal right now in practice.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying,
and that's what has me torn, because if you look at it, like Matthews in those last few games, like proved a lot, proved that we could get somebody who can light it up and get us back into a game or help us like increase that lead when the bench comes in. And then you have Shamit, who last year proved himself worthy of a spot last year. So for me, I'm a little bit torn because it's like I don't want to rob our future, which I believe Dadier could be. I really feel like this kid can grow into something incredible. Like you saw that last game against the Wizards where he came in back-to-back threes off the bat, like no hesitation, no fear. Like he has the wingspan, he has the growth. But it's like in order to keep him, you can only keep your three-point shooter in Matthews or your defender who can also catch fire and shoot the three in Shamit. And so for me, that's a hard choice. Like, I don't know which one to choose. And it's hard for me because Shamit ended up getting sick, in that last game when it was kind of one of those games to prove who should get that last spot. And Shamit wasn't there to prove anything, but Matthews was. So for me, I'm kind of torn between those two.
And to be real with you, Phil, and I'm gonna sum this up right this, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna say this. I personally like Garrison Matthews, but I think the front office and as well as the coach is gonna go with Shamit because he's been there.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. And it sucks, but I'm not giving up the young talent either. To Garrison Matthews. You better, I'll tell you like this. It's gonna be tomorrow night. Is gonna be the end all to be all of it all, and they're gonna have a quarter to duke it out, and we'll see.
Yeah.
Best man wins. And I and I hope whatever it is, it should help us move forward into where we
You know what really sucks? If we had Dante DiVincenzo, we wouldn't have to worry about either of those two.
Come on, that's a no-brainer though, man. But but that's the politics and business of professional basketball.
Yeah.
In order to get something, we had to let go of something, and that hurt more than anything. And he feels that particular role of somewhat a facilitator, ball handler, somebody to play behind or with Brunson. I mean, it's already been proven, and that's sad. That's the sad, cold-blooded part of it all.
Yep, it's true. Dante fits everything that we're currently looking for. He would be a total perfect, bench player, but unfortunately, we don't have that. I appreciate you, Corey. I appreciate your thoughts because I kind of feel the same way. As much as I feel like Matthews has proved himself, I feel like they're going to go with what's tried and true. Shamit has played with some of these bench players. Shamit has shown that he can be a two-way player. As much as I like Garrison as like a human torch off the bench, kind of like Ross was for, the Magic back in the day. I just don't feel like they're going to see that as enough of a push to not have him as a defender as well. And so it's kind of hard because we got to choose between the future and the right now. And for me, like a lot of people are willing to sacrifice the future just to win right now. Me, I'm not willing to let go of the future as well. I want somebody that I feel like we can develop and continue to see him grow fruitful. And I feel like Dadier is that guy. So me and you are seriously lined up on that. So for those that are watching right now, you're seeing magic. Like you're seeing me and Corey Lee be on one accord through a whole freaking episode. I don't think that's ever happened. So the skies have opened up and me and Corey are sharing that.
One thing I want to say though, Phil, and the only reason why I don't want to give up that young talent is because, listen, why would we give up this talent, this young talent that's already has value for somebody like Garrison Matthews, and at the trade deadline we really can't bust a move with him trying to get a trade. You know what I'm saying? That's the main reason why I'm like, hold on to Dadier, hold on to Coley. That's where they're really going to matter the most when people are really in the crunch to make a move. So of course, if we got to do any, it's whatever it takes to win the chip. But right now, not, what I'm saying, how would you say? You can't. You have to be careful on the shots that you take. You can't shoot up the building and think you knock it down everybody. If you
Yeah.
understand what I mean. You can't spray the whole block. You can't spray the whole block and think that, oh, okay, cool, we're good, because it's just not going to work like that. You have to You have to be a sniper about this. And Leon Rose is being very, very smart. And I think, he whispered in Brogdon's ear and said, "Yeah, we're gonna throw you a little something extra. You just go sit down, go home to Virginia, and have a nice time."
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. It's not just about right now, it's what mid-season could look like. What player we keep that might be an asset for us to make a change in the middle of the season. I don't think that a lot of players are going to knock on the door for a Garrison Matthews. A lot of people might knock on the door for a Pacome Dadier, because there's youth, there's potential to grow, there's different things that he brings to the table. So I agree. There's things that, he could allow us to unlock halfway through the season that one of these vets would not be able to. So that's something to look at. So, in closing, it's starting to get a little bit late. I'm going to go spend some time with the family as well. But I appreciate all three of Fritz, Ron, Corey. Appreciate you guys. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on, what you think you want to see from the Knicks this season before you go?
I mean, all I'll say is I just want a healthy team in the playoffs. I'm excited. Like, we need to enjoy the year, but there's a lot of pressure on this team, rightfully so. And, it's just you want your whole team. So, Mike Brown, I know you can't control some things, but I'm just asking you to do the best job you can, man. We're behind you, and let's try to win this thing. Because that's at the end of the day, all we care about is finally winning one. But you guys have a good night. I'll definitely be supporting you, your shows all year, and I appreciate you guys. It's gonna be fun.
You, Ron. Seriously, you have an open invite anytime you want to come up and talk your talk. So I appreciate you, bro.
Facts.
All love, man. Have a good.
All right, Corey. Any thoughts? Last closing thoughts?
Yeah, let me say this. Knicks, Mike Brown, I'm not saying you have a pass, but the pressure's really not on you. This season, it has to be a championship season because it's on the front office. They took away their buffer, which was Tibbs. Mike Brown is just a new executive chef with the same old ingredients. Because the food got stale with Tibbs. So, with that said, I'm gonna say, Leon, make sure that what you've done this year is gonna get us where we're supposed to be. Now, there's no pressure on Brown. I think Brown's gonna do what he has to do, and more so on the players.
Yeah.
The captain and Cat. Those two have to step up. Number one, come together. Number two, more importantly than anything, Jalen Brunson has to be the MVP of the league. He has to, and the team has to support him.
Yeah.
And
I think in order to achieve that, he has to adhere to the new system. He has to increase some facilitating into his game in order to reach
it. Yeah, he can't be dribble.
Yep.
It can't be dribble. He has to get these cats rolling. The OGs, the Mitchell Robinsons that are finally healthy. The Bridges. He has to pick his head up, push the ball, get it down the court, and let's go. And also, the Swiss Army knife of it all, the Josh Hart, he has to really get that going and push that. So with that said, Like I said, yo, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I holler at you, my brother. Hey, you know what it is? You know, you hear what? Thursday nights?
Thursday nights or Wednesday if we got a Thursday game.
Okay, then there it is. I'm gonna pull up on you, bro. And
I
holler at you.
appreciate you, bro. And I want to salute you because honestly, one of the greatest things for me all preseason was seeing a coach that allowed Mitchell Robinson to do what Mitchell Robinson is created to do. Like this preseason showed me that feeding the big man is so important. And we've asked for that for years with Tom Thibodeau, and we didn't see it. And seeing every single player like throw a lob to Mitchell Robinson, to me, unlocks a whole new level of what this Knicks team could be. So I completely agree with you, allowing every player to walk in what they're supposed to walk in. And I think allowing Mitchell Robinson to be what Mitchell Robinson's supposed to be offensively and defensively is going to be something that completely changes the trajectory of the New York Knicks season.
And I'm gonna leave you on the last thing because I've always been saying this. The butcher coming. That's Mitchell Robinson. You be good, bro. I'm gonna holler at you.
I love you, bro. Peace out.
All right, peace.
Yeah. I'm really encouraged by this year. I think this is the first time in a long ever since I've been a Knicks fan that we're probably encouraged to have fun. Like get up and down, get easy baskets. I think there's going to be a lot of freedom on this team. I think it's going to be fun basketball to watch. I can't wait for it. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think for the first time, I feel like one thing that I've complained about for the last few years is how Thibodeau tries to find players to fit into his system instead of finding a player's skill sets and figuring out how that makes the Knicks better, and players being able to utilize what they're actually good at. And in the first few games of preseason, I feel like Mike Brown has leaned into a player's skill sets way more than Tom Thibodeau had. And that excites me as a Knicks fan. So I appreciate you, Fritz. And obviously, I'll be connecting with you in the after post-game shows on Nick of Time, but let people know where they can follow you and what you're doing.
Yeah, of course, on the Nick of Time show, at least in the comments, sometimes I'm on the panel, but also on NBA Economy show, where we're getting into the numbers and some of the things, the business side of the NBA. So definitely follow me over there.
Appreciate you, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Later, bro.
Later.
All right, so we're getting ready to close out. I don't know what happened to Eru. He kind of just disappeared without us knowing. Shout out to my guy, Ron.
You're talking in the chat.
What happened? He's in the chat?
Your private chat, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Bet. All right. Love you, Eru. So shout out to our guy, Ron. Appreciate you so much. If you guys don't know who Ron is, he is one of the best when it comes to the Knicks content creators. Seriously, one of the most genuine dudes that you'll ever meet. So support them at Still Knicks Fans. We're going to wrap up here. Appreciate my guy, Apollo. We're going to have any closing thoughts on the start of this season. We're going up against Cavs. Obviously, we have one more preseason game. I don't really want to pay too much attention to that. But before I go to Apollo and his thoughts on that Cavs game, I want to give a shout out to Mr. 2 Ounce Whiskey for joining us, giving his tasting notes and everything like that, and just showing what it's like to be, a Cavs fan and his thoughts of the New York Knicks, as well as Zach from Silk Velvet. If you guys can, please support Silk Velvet. Look up in the chat, go to sealbox.com, pick up one of their bottles. They are incredible. Like, seriously, their whiskey is incredible. Whether you're making an old fashioned or you're drinking it neat or on the rocks, it is worth picking up. So please do me a favor and do that. Next week, we'll be connecting with a group called Pursuit Spirits. Incredible, incredible whiskey. One of my favorite brands right now. And this guy right here, Mr. New England Whiskey, He is a Boston fan. So right before we head off to Boston, we'll be talking to a Boston Celtic fan and talking about what they think about the New York Knicks and what they think is going to happen in our game against them. So, Apollo, what are your thoughts on the opening of the season, and what are your thoughts on the Knicks this season? How do you expect us to do?
I think we're gonna have a little bit of an adjustment period in the beginning, of course. You don't just go from the slowest team in the league to the fastest. That doesn't happen overnight. It's gonna take them a little bit, so it's gonna be a bit of an adjustment there. But I think they'll be fine. And for the rest of the season, I just think that I think this is a team, once you get them rolling, and once you get Josh Hart back and you get everybody in the system going well and getting up and down the court the right way. I think this is a team that can possibly win a championship, especially because it's not a lot of the powerhouses that were there last year. But yeah, man, I think we can pull it out and then win a championship this year.
Yeah. When I think about it, I think that for me, taking small steps is not what's going to make this Knicks teams better. I feel like the fact that we went from Tom Thibodeau, who had the slowest offense in the league, to Mike Brown calling us to be one of the fastest paced offenses in the league is exactly what we need. I feel like if we went in small increments, I don't think that this team would really adapt to it the way that we need to. And I feel like even at 70% of what Mike Brown is calling us to, it makes this New York Knicks team elite. Like, it makes us that much better than we were that season, last season. So I feel like we're going to see something incredible when it comes to the New York Knicks. And like you, I feel like the first few games might be a little bit rocky. And I feel like for us, I know we're going to ride that wave and we're going to wait and see, what things look like and hope for the best. For those Knicks fans that might see something that they don't like to see and jump out of the window immediately after 3 games and hate this team, stop. Don't do that. This is a transition that we've desired and wanted for years, and it takes time. These are professional basketball players, but it's also a completely different script. We're throwing something completely different at them. If you look at Mike Brown and you look at Tom Thibodeau, they could not be polar opposites as coaches. So we got to have some grace. We got to allow them to kind of morph into that. I still think we walk away with the W. I really do. I think that, opening night against the Cavs, we still walk away with a win. We still walk away 1-0 to start the season, because I feel like our team is that good. And I feel like where we suffered last year, where it was like the starters went to the bench and all of a sudden we sucked, I feel like we tackled that issue with adding Yabusele and adding Clarkson to the roster. So I think we still walk away with a W, but I think it's going to be a little bit rocky in the beginning of the season, and we have to have grace for that. So those are my thoughts on the end of the preseason going into the season. But I'm excited. I'm excited as a Knicks fan. I'm excited as a content creator. I'm excited to do this with you and with Eru and kind of see, what this season is. And honestly, my biggest excitement is I think that we're going to be creating content further into the calendar than any of us have ever created content, because I feel like we're going to go further than we've ever gone as the Knicks. So I feel like we're going to be able to celebrate together. Feel like we're going to be able to celebrate a chip together. We're going to drink a lot of whiskey together, and we're going to be able to kind of just enjoy the season together. So appreciate everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us for, first episode of the season. If there's anything that you guys want to see us talk about in this season, please put it in the comments, put it in the chat. Make sure to join us in the open panel moving forward. We love having conversations with other Knicks creators, with other Knicks fans. And at the end of the day, we just want to connect with you guys and hang out. One thing I want to make sure that I make myself available for is I know that life can be crazy. So if you guys have any concerns, any questions, any prayer requests, I want you guys to hit me up in my DMs and hit me up. I want this to be something that we actually do life together. We walk this out together. So life can be hard. Hit me up. Let's talk. Let's pray. Let's do whatever we got to do. And let's go Knicks. Appreciate you, Apollo. love you for being my brother, always sticking with me in this content creation game. And enjoy the bottle of whiskey because I didn't get one. So enjoy it.
Watch out, man. I will. I'll take care of it.
Any closing thoughts?
Nah, man. Everybody stay healthy, man. Enjoy. Get ready for those clocks to change soon. It's getting that time of year, and you know that time of year, basketball is upon us. So it starts to get darker outside. It means get your behind inside and watch some Knicks basketball, man. So that's what we doing, man.
All right, bro. I love you, bro. And until next week, like always, God bless and drink responsibly. Later, guys.
Peace.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em a shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stay down, never switch